Patrick Willis, elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's about time. Willis is one of the greatest 49ers ever. I put him personally in my top 5 San Francisco 49ers of all time. I remember exactly where I was when the 49ers drafted Patrick Willis. I was working in my front yard mowing the lawn. And that's an important job for men. You got to mow your grass, take care of the lawn Saturday mornings, because the draft, this was back when it was on Saturdays. I had my transistor radio out and I was listening in between doing my work. And I was excited and pleased to hear the 49ers selected Patrick Willis because they needed good players. But they got more than a good player, they got a great player. An all-time great, one of the greatest 49ers that there's ever been in that 2007 draft. He would go on to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year in that first season. I don't know how a middle linebacker could have been any better than Patrick Willis as a rookie. I don't know how a player could be better. He would be a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time All-Pro, and was in the middle of that defense that went to 3 consecutive championship games. 2011 against the Giants. 2012, they got to the Super Bowl and lost the Ravens. And then 2013, losing the Seahawks. They fell short of the ultimate prize, but unforgettable teams. Great years. Willis did not have a long career. It was really 7.5 seasons. And we always have the debate, well, what makes a player great? What makes someone worthy of the Hall of Fame? A long, excellent career, sustained greatness? Or is it the player that was brilliant and was at the best of their position for a handful of years? And for 4 or 5 years, without question, Patrick Willis was the best middle linebacker in football. And the only thing that slowed him down was the injuries, and that's what cut his career short. But he could do it all, linebacker. And as many have said, at his peak, before the injuries, he was every bit as good as Ray Lewis in his prime. A tackling machine, an intimidator, a fierce hitter, sideline to sideline speed, great against the run, excellent in coverage, whether that be tight ends or running backs, good when asked to rush the quarterback. He had a knack and a real skill for jarring the ball out. He had 16 forced fumbles over his career. And it's not a game, the NFL today, that is about middle linebacker play. It has been about, in recent years, not even say more than recent years, edge play, edge rushers, defensive ends, outside linebackers, get to the quarterback. But Willis was good at so many things. I mean, really, he was good at everything. That middle linebacker position was so important on those 49er defenses, whether it be the 4-3 defense or the 3-4 defense. Willis was the second greatest defensive player in the history of the 49ers franchise. And there have been some great players, no question about it. You start with Ronnie Lott, and I think you have to go with Patrick Willis second. He broke in the league in 2007, and that was Bryant Young's final year. One of the greatest defensive players, in the team's history, but I would say Willis is a greater player than Bryant Young. And the moment he stepped on the field, he was a star. I mean, you got to look at his highlights on YouTube. And they speak for themselves. NFL Throwback did a great career summary of Willis. You know, I talk about Nick Bosa in a similar fashion. The moment he stepped on the field, he was one of the best defensive players in football, which is true. And although Patrick Willis did not win a Defensive Player of the Year, he really did everything but that. But comparing him to Bosa, it's different. It's about two different positions, two different teams. 2007 was very different than 2019. There were a lot of changes between those years. But I'd consider Willis's rookie season more impressive because of this. When Nick Bosa came in with the 49ers in 2019, the 49ers had DeForest Buckner. They had Eric Armstead. Dee Ford was a very good player before the injuries. Fred Warner was coming on. Veteran Richard Sherman. When Patrick Willis was drafted, he had Bryant Young at the very end of his career. There wasn't a whole lot on that defense. And the 49ers, before Harbaugh got there, they had so many problems. But I'll tell you, every Sunday, though, it was worth seeing Patrick Willis out there on the field on defense. It was a pleasure watching him. And I could pull out plays that we would all remember. And there would be another time to do that. We need a longer episode on Patrick Willis. But I'm really happy for him. And, you know, you were watching something very special out there on the field. You were watching greatness. And while we were seeing his career progress, you said to yourself, this is a Hall of Fame player. He belongs. And I am of the opinion that if he was a Pittsburgh Steeler or a Dallas Cowboy, he would have been in a year or two ago. But he had to wait. But he's well worthy of having his place in the Hall of Fame and being remembered as one of the greatest players to ever suit up in a 49ers uniform. Number 52, that's Patrick Willis.